The premier of the Soviet Union slaps his daughter across the face. "Oh, she loves him," he mimics. "How low she has sunk. Such a war going on, and she's busy the whole time." Svetlana, the only daughter of Stalin, has turned 16. It is 1942. 10 years earlier, her mother died. Operation Barbarossa has just shattered the USSR, and Stalin's daughter is in the 10th grade at the prestigious Model School number 25. But for her, the most intense drama is closest to her. The beautiful young girl with curvy auburn hair falls in love for the first time. Yet the whole experience will make her begin to see beyond the illusions of her father. This is the story of Svetlana Stalina's first love, and a personal glimpse into the darkness of her father, not wrought on the public nor in mass purges, but in a household purge on his own family. As just mentioned, Stalin's daughter in the second year of the 1940s is now 16, described by a school friend as shy, humble, and, quote, full of charm and femininity. She is reading Chekhov, Goethe, and Yesenin, and slowly becoming her own independent person. Despite her age, her older brother Vasily, the ripe old age himself of 21, invites her to his wild parties. Not always the best place for his sister, or maybe anyone. At one of these parties, Vasily, who eventually died exactly 20 years later from his alcoholism, drunkenly smacked his then pregnant wife for refusing to regale a joke. These parties are filled with Vasily's clique of pilots, famous athletes, actors and directors, and are Vasily's own reenactments of his father's late-night, tiring drinking sessions with his inner circle. Vasily, himself a pilot in the Red Army at this time during the height of World War II, has been promoted to a colonel and chief of the Air Force Inspection Command, keeping him grounded, keeping him safe from suffering the fate of death that has already happened to Khrushchev's son, but also keeping him flying high from his favorite Georgian wines. One of the latest people at these soirees is a new best friend, the winner the year previous of the Stalin Prize for Lenin in 1918 and Lenin in October, the dashing, dark-haired Aleksei Yakovlevich Kapler. Kapler, though, will have eyes on a different kind of Stalin Prize. Svetlana feels a bit out of place at these parties, especially as she is still just a high school girl, but Vasily insists she attends. She often doesn't know who to converse with and what about. But one night at a film preview on Nezdikovsky Street, attended by Vasily's friends, Svetlana, well versed on most things cinematic, thanks to her father's love of cinema, ends up losing track of time chatting about movies with this dark-eyed, handsome, and much older man. The older man is smitten. This teenage girl isn't like most of the other ladies in their retinue. Years later, he recalls that he falls in love, quote, with her grace and intelligence, the way in which she spoke to those around her, the freedom within her. The dictator's daughter, who could have worn the latest Parisian fashions or imported clothes, like those the devil delights Muscovites with in his performance in Bulgakov's Master and Margarita, wore, as Kapler said, practical, well-made clothes. On November 8, 1942, as if by fate, or maybe we invite fate by acting in a certain way because these numbers and dates have meaning to us, a party was organized at Vasily Stalin's main party house, the dacha at Zubelovo, in honor of the Bolshevik Revolution. Svetlana is wearing an old garnet brooch, not for the anniversary of the revolution, but more importantly for her, it is also the 10th anniversary of her mother's death. When the dancing begins, Kapler turns around and asks if she can foxtrot. To quote Svetlana, "I was so much at ease and I felt so peaceful and warm beside him. I had an extraordinary feeling of trust for this big, agreeable man. All of a sudden, I wanted to put my head on his shoulder and quietly close my eyes. I told him how lonely I was at home. I told him it was 10 years to the day since my mother's death, yet nobody seemed to remember. It all came pouring out, and the whole time we went on dancing. Kapler begins to visit Svetlana at her school. They go to the Tretyakov gallery together and watch movies and plays. The first film they watch together is Greta Garbo's Queen Christina. As Svetlana later writes about her first love, whom she cherished for decades into the future, quote, "He must have been lonely. Maybe he was in need of someone too." He is. Kapler, the married 38-year-old, is separated from his wife, although as yet not divorced. As the two go out together, discuss books and poetry, and go on long walks, Svetlana, as you might expect, is nevertheless accompanied by her bodyguard, Mikhail Klimov, her, quote, watchdog, who remains even closer with the presence of Kapler, and the NKGB have all of her correspondence opened and her phones tapped, summarizing all of their snooping into daily reports to Stalin on his daughter's activities. Stalin himself knows about the romantic, yet nevertheless rather chaste affair, before Svetlana's friends do. The dictator, who should have been expecting his daughter to start courting at some point, is livid. Where to begin? His daughter is still in school, her companion is married, he's a screenwriter, a profession not suitable for the premier's daughter, despite his love of cinema. Perhaps it's that Alexei is over 2 decades older than Svetlana. This age gap is too much for Stalin. The man is too young. Shouldn't he be at least a year older? It's hard to say how much Svetlana's feeling for an older man is influenced by the age of her father. The dictator was 47 years old when Svetlana was born, or from the experience of her parents. Maybe what irks Stalin the most is the mirror it places in front of and the image it reflects to him, whether he is consciously aware of it or not. Almost an exact historic replay, Stalin had been 39 when he started courting Svetlana's mother when she was 16. They will see each other for the next 4 months, up until just after Svetlana's 17th birthday. They walk in the woods holding hands, attend the Bolshoi, and Kapler presents the dictator's daughter with a draft movie script for a biopic on the composer Shostakovich. But Kapler pushes his luck too far. Just over a month after they begin their romance, Kapler is sent to Stalingrad to report on the situation there. In an act of bravery deserving of a medal in itself, or foolishness, or sheer naivety, Kapler publishes a letter in Pravda that is framed as a soldier's love letter to his sweetheart back home. Swept up in amorous feeling for all of the USSR to read, he describes their walks through the Tretyakov gallery in some detail and ends the letter with, "It is almost evening in Moscow. You can see the ragged Kremlin wall from your window and the sky above it." Even Svetlana is shocked when she reads it. Stalin doesn't confront his daughter directly about it, but as she will later say, quote, "He had hinted to me once in a tone of extreme displeasure that I was behaving in a manner that could not be tolerated." In February, Kapler receives a phone call telling him he should leave Moscow. It is from Stalin's security detail. Kapler replies, "Go to hell." Maybe they did, but they took him with them. On March 2nd, Aleksei Kapler gets out of his car, having just arrived at a film industry committee meeting. But before he can go inside, a man approaches, telling him to get back in his car. Kapler sinks a little inside. The unidentified man gets into the passenger seat as Kapler gets back behind the wheel. And the man identifies himself with one word: Lubyanka. The next morning, Stalin, doing something he has never done before, arrives at Svetlana's apartment in the Kremlin. Over the centuries, the paintings and walls have seen many hidden moments of Russia's aristocracy, and that certainly doesn't end in the Stalin era. As Svetlana writes, her father, quote, strode briskly into my room. The look in his eyes was enough to rivet my nurse to the floor in one corner. I'd never seen my father look that way. He was choking with anger and was nearly speechless. Your Kapler is a British spy, Stalin rages. He's under arrest. I know the whole story. I've got all your telephone conversations right here. Stalin demands Svetlana hand over all of her letters and photographs from her first love. Where are they all? Where are all these letters from your writer? After a while, Svetlana, tongue-tied in shock, sadness and fear, manages to protest, but I love him. Love. Oh, she loves him, he repeats. Then he slaps his daughter across the face. Twice. Just think, nurse, how low she's sunk. Such a war going on and she's busy the whole time screwing. To replace the word he actually used with one somewhat less coarse. Taking Kapler's letters to Svetlana with him to read, Stalin finishes his tirade. Who'd want you? You fool! He's got women all around him. He leaves before Svetlana can try to say that her bodyguard, whom Kapler always greeted and lit cigarettes for, was always present with her wherever she went, whether she wanted him there or not. Later that day, Svetlana is summoned to see her father in the dining room. For a writer whom he dislikes so much, he nevertheless can't stop reading that writer's letters. When Svetlana enters, her father is tearing up photographs and papers and filing them in the wastebasket. Writer, he snarls. He can't even write decent Russian. She couldn't even find herself a Russian. As Svetlana writes later, it seems that the age difference, nor his daughter reaching the age where she might get a boyfriend, is the thing that really grates him. Quote, apparently the fact that Kapler was a Jew bothered him most of all. Stalin ends his daughter's relationship with Kapler, but he also ends something in her relationship with him. In her words, quote, my eyes were opened and I could not any more claim blindness.